Vinland Saga Season 2 Episode 4 is trauma-inducing to say the least. From beginning to end, this episode just had me wanting to hug these characters. In particular, I think the relationship between Einar and Thorfinn is just so fascinating because it is diving into a lot of that trauma, especially in this episode. So starting off with that, this really begins after Einar and Thorfinn go through this horrible way they were treated by Snake's soldiers. Thorfinn is being patched up by a guy named Peter, or maybe Peter is the job that he has. But this guy's like, he's kind of nice. He's an empathetic guy. He kind of understands. It seems like he's been working around slaves for a while. And we see this moment where Einar he's talking to Thorfinn about how he knows these slaves were trying to kill him. And even so, Thorfinn, he kind of sees no other way around any of the situation because he still believes the strong prevail, sort of the order of things for him. And that to me is a side effect of the indoctrination of being a Viking and Askeladd's brainwashing. He can't believe that there is any other order of things than just if you're stronger, you win and you get your way, and that's it. And that's really sad to think that way because when Thorfinn says it, he says it so defeated. He shrugs as if it's, something he can't help, as if he's not one of the strong ones, even though technically he is. And that's really the brilliant writing about this, is he is one of those strong people, but by the nature, by the order of things, it's also turning Thorfinn's, mind. He thinks he's someone who's weak because of it, which is strange to think about. He's both strong, but mentally he's weak because he's just shot. This kind of life has absolutely killed him. He was never meant for it. This leads into a really just absolutely heart-wrenching scene. This episode honestly almost made me cry a couple times, and I'm not even lying about that. Einar tells Thorfinn to say thank you for the shirt that Peter is giving him, and Peter tells him that he just doesn't say much, and Thorfinn just goes back to work. He puts his shirt back on, he's like, whatever, these injuries aren't that bad, let's get back to work. That in of itself is a really sad thing, but we have Einar, who really just through observing realizes that Thorfinn is not normal. So he's like, Thorfinn, have you been to war? And he says, yes. Have you killed people? He says, yes. And then he asks how many. And he just says, timber. And he sort of avoids the question for a minute. And then he says he doesn't remember. That right there is sort of the catalyst for what comes next in this episode and how just dark and depressing this episode really gets. And I'm not kidding. This episode really dives headlong into this stuff. So it's the night now. Both Einar and Thorfinn are now asleep, and he remembers his village being burned. Einar does. And Einar, much in a way that is mirroring Thorfinn and Askeladd of the past, he straddles himself across Thorfinn and strangles him and prepares to basically kill Thorfinn in his sleep. Something that Thorfinn couldn't do to Askeladd, and something that Askeladd absolutely reveled in. He pretty much took advantage of that, so to speak. Though, what's interesting about this is that Einar actually goes to strangle Thorfinn, and he actually does it. And while this is happening, there are visions that Thorfinn is having. It's a part of his PTSD nightmare, I suppose. Visions of Thorfinn killing these soldiers. And these are representations, in my opinion, of Thorfinn's demons. And that's what makes it sad. No matter how many times, no matter how strong he is, no matter how many times he proves that he can stand, so to speak, slaying these warriors left and right, because he is stronger than them all, he still is weak. He can't defeat them. His demons still are there. And that's what makes it sad. He has the power to defeat them in the traditional ways that he always has, but he can't because these demons require something different. And while this happens, he wakes up and he's screaming, and it's honestly horrifying. The way that they portrayed this, it was almost like a nightmare. It was so good. Mappa and Wit Studios, amazing talent. I'm glad they're working on this together because it's incredible. So Thorfinn wakes up and he tells tells Einar, he says, he's no different from any of those people that killed his family. And then we see the quote again, and it's Einar realizing it now, and it's also Thorfinn realizing it at the same time, but through different meanings and perspectives. He says, it harkens back to the last episode, what's good about living? Nothing for me. Living is not good for me. You know, there's nothing good that could ever come from that. My existence is a stain on the concept of living. And so Einar asks him, do you want to die? And then he keeps going. He says, we're able to eat, live, shit because someone kept us alive. And then he tells Thorfinn that he's wrong and to not act so spoiled. And he's saying that to the whole living is not for me thing. There's nothing good that could come from me. There's nothing good that can come from living in general. How could it? Einar is realizing because he had those things that Thorfinn didn't have. He had family. Sure, he lost his family just as Thorfinn lost his, but Thorfinn went away from his family because his father died and he wanted revenge. But Einar got to experience the good parts of life, right? And so Einar is telling him sort of in defiance, hey, you're wrong. There is good to be had. I've experienced it. I know what good is. And in many ways, this is sort of telling Thorfinn without telling him, hey man, there's something more to life. You just haven't experienced it yet. That's all you need to do is experience it, and you will see that life is indeed worth living. And there are many great things that can come from it. And he says, it's not like you killed my family. And the best part, without a doubt, and it's so underrated, he says, thanks, Einar, for waking me. And he apologizes to Einar. And while this is happening, there's this amazing score going on. It's so good, so filled with emotion. And I love that scene where he apologizes for waking him, because in my opinion, this is, I think even Thorfinn knows, he didn't mean that in the sense of thank you for waking me up, because he woke up on his own. No, he meant that in the sense of, oh, he understands what Einar is saying now, and he understands exactly what he meant. And so he's thanking Einar for waking him up to that side of living that he's never seen before. And it was just a glimpse too. It's just a little bit, but that's all it really took Thorfinn to wake up from. And that's what I love about it. We'll see in the next coming episodes how Thorfinn reacts, how he's going after this. It's a small thing. Keep in mind, this is just a small realization. This is not like something big, but it's something really small that signals, hopefully, a change in Thorfinn, because my God, these guys need all the happiness they can get in life. And then at the end, we see Prince Canute. I'm so hyped. I totally forgot that Prince Canute could be a factor in this season. It has already changed up my theories. I think going forward, we may see the possibility of Prince Canute seeking out Thorfinn, buying Thorfinn, and buying Einar. And then those two are now, they're, re-invited back into the Viking army or something like that. And then we'll actually see, how he's going to react to that. That's my new theory, is I think Canute is out searching for them. So, and he's in the opening. So, he's going to be in the series. Absolutely. I mean, they showed him there. Of course, he's going to be in the series, I'm going to say. But either way, this was a great episode. Tell me what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. On the left is a playlist of all of my Vinland Saga videos, which I do expect you all to check out. If you don't, I'll kick you. And on the right is a link to a playlist of my best videos overall. So thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.